Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am proud and humbled by this award, by being presented to me this evening. I would not be standing here without if there were not for them some generous and very special people. My parents, Moriichi and Suki Matsumoto, emigrated from Japan in the early 1900s. They settled in downtown Los Angeles and put together a beauty salon business on East First Street. They often would do the hair and the makeup for the Nisei Week princesses and queens. They made very good friends with one of the most famous photographers of that time, Mr. Toyo Miyatake. Things were going very well until December 7th, 1941. They, along with thousands of other Japanese Americans, were forced to leave their homes and businesses within just a few short hours. They, as you know, were shipped to internment camps throughout the western United States. My parents were in Poston, Arizona, with a barren desert landscape, but they endured and survived. After living in the camp for 2.5 years, they heard that the governor of Colorado was welcoming the detainees from the camps. So my family, consisting of my mother and father, my aunt and grandmother, relocated to Denver. It was not long before my parents started another beauty salon business. It was catering to some of the most affluent citizens of that city, including the entire Coors family. But they wanted to have a child and could not, and this is where my story begins. I was adopted by the Matsumotos when I was 3 months old. It was amazing that a Japanese family found a Japanese girl to adopt after World War II. My father thought long and hard, but decided to move back to Los Angeles, to California, so he could provide me with a better climate in which I could grow up. They had some difficulty finding property, as it was a difficult time for the Japanese people. But they found an acre of land in Reseda and built 2 small houses on it, and there was not even a blade of grass on that property. My father planted fruit trees of all varieties. Can't even enumerate them, it would take too long. But it included kumquats and Japanese vegetables and figs and avocados and tons of citrus. And apparently for 2 to 3 years, we had the best strawberries you could buy. Because the land was once owned by people who were raising chickens. So you can imagine the fertile soil that was there. He also built a koi pond. My father built this with the most rudimentary of tools, probably a wheelbarrow, a hammer, saw, shovel, because we didn't have the money to have anyone do this. And he stocked it with koi. Those koi developed and became gorgeously big, and it was held by my mother when she continued to live there after my father died. And the koi got so big, but the water was so expensive in the late 80s, and so we donated these fish to Balboa Lake, the Japanese gardens of Balboa Lake. During the time they settled back in Los Angeles, they opened up another beauty salon. While my mother, father, and aunt, and my cousin, who is here this evening, worked in the salon, my grandmother, who lived next door on the property, took care of me. My mother was an elegant and sophisticated lady. She wanted me to be able to go anywhere in the world and hold my head up high. She provided me ballet, piano, and occasional voice lessons, and when she could not pay for them, she sold her jewelry to pay for these lessons. She handmade my clothing, which was much better than the store-bought clothes my friends wore. The coat I am wearing this evening was made by my mother. She made me lunch every day to take to school, and I couldn't wait to get to school so that I could trade my lovely cream cheese and watercress with no crust with bologna sandwiches. I was elected girls' vice president at Northridge Junior High School. I became prom queen and homecoming queen at Cleveland High School. When it was time to go to college, when it was time to go to college, it was obvious that I would be going to Valley State, now known as CSUN, as it was 3 miles from our home and my parents could afford the tuition. Upon entering the university, I was first listed as a history major. I thought that music would be too easy. Wow. But because I did not really know what to do as a career. But I pledged a very popular sorority entitled Alpha Omega. Some of those very sisters, same sorority sisters, are here with me this evening, and I thank you so much for coming from as far as Idaho. So appreciate this. At one of the sorority functions, I was asked to sing and play the piano. And I understood that it was a Johnny Mathis song, but Ann Cuff said that I sang "I Enjoy Being a Girl" from the Flower Drum song because the pianist remembered playing for me. So, gee, I don't know what to say. It probably was the Flower Drum song, but I did love Johnny Mathis. Wow. One of the teachers attending recommended that I try out for the opera. And so on the auspicious year of 1964, is when I found the two greatest loves of my life. Dr. David Scott, who had come from the Midwest in 1963 to start an opera company, program, was one who auditioned me. It was he who cast me in my very first opera as Mimi in La Bohème. Little did I know that this would embark me on a lifelong love of opera and classical music. My other love came into my life in 1964. I met a brash young fraternity man, Marty Stark, who showed me such respect and caring that it overshadowed all of the dates that I had had up to that point. 11 days from today, as President Harrison mentioned, he and I will celebrate our 49th wedding anniversary. This July will mark the 52nd year of our first date. He remembers all of these things, all the details. Dr. Scott became my first voice teacher and mentor. During my time at Valley State, he cast me in starring roles in most of the operas which were produced. By the time I graduated, I had 6 major roles on my resume. The operas were reviewed regularly by the Los Angeles Times, especially by Martin Bernheimer. And the reviews were so wonderful that it became to be on the radar of any singer in Southern California who wanted to get into a good vocal program. Dr. Scott knew that learning how to audition was very important so that it would show me the way for getting my singing jobs in the future. My first audition was for the LA Bureau of Music. My second audition was for the Metropolitan Opera Western Regional Auditions, and I entered at the age of 22 and won first prize. My next audition was when I was 22, and it was the San Francisco National Opera auditions, during which I won first prize and my first contract with a major opera house. When I graduated with my Bachelor of Music, I went straight to San Francisco Opera. Kurt Herbert Adler, the general director of San Francisco Opera, became my next mentor. He carefully chose the roles for me to undertake, and I spent 7 glorious years or seasons with the opera company and Mr. Adler. It was during my early years with the company, one of the world's foremost opera managers and vice president of Columbia Artist Management, Miss Nellie Walters, offered to take me under her management, and the company sent me a contract to sign. Marty, who was then in law school, perused the contract and said I would be foolish to sign that document. So over the next 13 weeks, he interfaced with Cami, and week after week, he got them to change a paragraph at a time until Marty was satisfied. I signed the contract, and 2 weeks later, Cami called and offered him a job. Nellie took charge of my bookings and contracts, and for 22 years I was managed by her. My friend who is here sitting next to me was also managed by Nellie Walter. Meanwhile, Marty climbed the ladder of the company and eventually became a vice president before he resigned and went on to produce shows on Broadway. My career took me all over the United States, Europe, Canada, and Japan, but after 22 years of being on the road for 8 months a year and being away from Marty so much, I retired my professional singing career. We left New York City, where we had been living for 15 years, and returned to California, built a home in Northridge, and stayed close to my aging parents who still lived in Reseda. My life took yet another turn. Through a series of circumstances, I was offered a teaching position at California State University, Long Beach, in part due to my professional singing career, but because of the improvement noticed by the director of the opera with a singer I had been teaching for 2 or 3 months. And at the end of the semester, I will have completed 29 years of teaching at that university. 10 years after starting at CSULB, I was approached by the Thornton School of Music at the University of Southern California and asked to be on their voice faculty. Next month, I will have completed my 19th year at USC. Together with these two universities, I also have a private teaching studio in Northridge in our home. For some time, I had been thinking about forming a nonprofit association to assist young singers. 25 years ago, I founded the Classical Singers Association with the sole purpose to present monthly events at the Music Center featuring distinguished professionals in the world of music. The CSA lasted for 25 years, and over the years it had well over 4,000 members. And for a mere $35 of annual membership, which barely covered the postage and rent on the rehearsal space at the Music Center, the members participated in 9 or 10 events a year. These events were master classes, scenes programs, and seminars featuring professional singers, which included Marilyn Horne, Miss von Stade, Dolores Zajic, Sandra Radvanovsky, and Miss Van Ness. Stage directors, conductors, and opera company administrators. The CSA also gave out cash scholarship based upon auditions, which were judged by professional musicians. My life has come full circle. As others have influenced my careers, I now teach and mentor singers who wish to pursue a professional singing career. It is my job to see, it is my joy, and it's not a job, it's really a joy. I feel that I should pay them. It is my joy to see them excel and reach heights of which they had only dreamt. Thank you for this award. I am deeply grateful and touched, and know that my parents would be very proud that I'm being here. Thank you.